Hello everyone, this is Muhammad Noman Nazir. Today I'm going to talk about next generation computing. This presentation explores the new computing models that are emerging beyond traditional digital computers, technology inspired by physics, biology, and human intelligence. These ideas are not just frustrated concepts, they are already shaping how we build systems today and how we interact in technology in the future. What is the next generation computing? When we talk about next generation computing, we're referring to modules that move beyond classic silicon-based systems. Traditional computing has served us well for decades, but we have reached a point where new demands require new approaches. Next generation computing explores architectures inspired by nature, like a human brain, along with the breakthrough in physics like quantum mechanism. The overall goal is simple: create systems that are faster, smaller, or more efficient and capable for solving problems that classical computer struggle with. What do we need it? There are several reasons why these new modules are becoming necessary. First, we producing more data than ever before through smartphones, sensors, IoTs, devices, and AI systems. Second, industries across the board rely heavily on automations and machine learning, which requires massive computation resources. Another key issue is that our current semiconductor technologies reaching physical limits can shrink forever and performance gain are slowly down. Finally, as society becomes more connected, we need systems that can process data efficiently, sustainability, and safely. So next generation computing aims to solve those pain points. Key models overview. In this presentation, I'll cover four major next generation computing modules. We'll look at quantum computing uh, and DNA or biological computing, neuromorphic computing, which tries to uh, mimic how the brain works, and cloud edge and fog computing, which rethink how and where computation happens. Each of these models solves a different type of problems, and together they form the foundation for future computing systems. Okay, first of all, we will talk about quantum computing. Quantum computing is one of the most exciting and widely discussed models. Instead of bit quantums, computer use qubits. Thanks to superposition, qubit can represent multiple states at once. And with alignment, qubits can be linked in ways classical physics simply can't explain. This gives quantum computer the ability to process search spaces incredibly fast. They're especially powerful for tasks like cryptography, optimization, complex simulations such as drug design or material discovery. But quantum computing also comes with big challenges. Qubits are extremely sensitive, and maintaining their sustainability requires highly controlled environment. Quantum error correction is still a major research area, so while the potential is huge, practical quantum computers are still evolving. Let's talk about DNA and biological computing. DNA computing is the radical uh, different approach that use actual DNA molecules to perform computing. DNA is naturally information rich, extremely compact, and capable for massive parallel operation. Just a few drops of DNA can represent billions of, I would say billions of combination at once. This makes it ideal for solving certain type of mathematical or combinational problems where exploring huge solution spaces is necessary. The idea is inspired by nature biology, how cells store and um, how the information is stored. The main limitations right now are lab complexity, solve reaction times, and challenges in scaling. But even with these challenges, DNA computing provides a powerful new ways to think about computations beyond silicon. Let's talk about neuromorphic computing. This takes inspiration from the brain instead of traditional CPU and GPU. Neuromorphic chips use networks of artificial neurons and sciphons. What makes this important is energy efficiency. The human brain runs on about 20 watts, yet it performs tasks like pattern recognitions far better than today's hardware. So this system excel at real-time learning, adaptive decision making, and process scenario data. This makes them ideal for robotic systems and next generation AI application. Companies like Intel and IBM are already building neuromorphic prototypes, showing that uh, they're showing that this technology is moving out of the lab and into partial development. Okay, let's talk about cloud, edge, and fog computing. Cloud, edge, and fog computing are not new physical modules like quantum or DNA, but they represent a major shift in where computing happens. Cloud computing uses large centralized data centers. It's powerful but not always fast enough for real-time tasks. Edge computing pushes computations slower to the device like a self-driving car or a smart factory robot, reducing uh, latency and improving responses. For computing sits between the two. It distributes computing and across local network, which is perfect for IoT devices, smart cities, and 5G application. I would say these three modules work together to build flexibility, efficiency, scalability computing ecosystem. Let's talk about sporting technologies. Next generation computing does not stand alone. Several sporting technologies play a major role in enabling these new modules. Artificial intelligence helps interpret data and make decisions. Big data analyzes processes huge data set that AI and automations, and blockchain for trust and transparency and security, I would say, and 5G network, the high speed connectivity needed for real-time distribution processes. All of these technologies enhanced or enable next generation computing in different ways. Okay, let's talk about real world application. These technologies are not just theoretical, they are always have real world impact. In healthcare, next generation computing can help with faster diagnostic, personalization, medicine, and drug discovery. In manufacturing or industry 4.0, these modules, I would say, sports, smart, robotic, and predictive maintenance, and the financial sector uses blockchain and advanced algorithms to improve transaction security and reduce fraud. Environmental scientists use advanced computing model for climate prediction, energy optimization, and monitoring nature resources. So we're truly seeing this technology shape grow industries today. Okay, let's talk about challenges ahead. As powerful as these technologies are, they come with serious challenges. Quantum and DNA systems still face hardware and scalability issues, sustainability issues, but data privacy and cybersecurity remains major concern in distributed systems. AI raises ethical questions about bias or automations or automate, and I would say the cost of developing next generation computing is extremely high. These obstacles don't stop process, but they do shape how fast and how safely these technology can grow. Okay, let's talk about the future of computing. The future will likely involve a combination of these modules. We have see AI integration with quantum computing, DNA based storage, and neuromorphic processors to create systems that are faster, more adaptive, and more efficient. There will also be a strong push towards sustainable and green computing systems that use less energy and have a smaller environmental footprint. Ultimately, next generation computing moves us closer to building machines that think, adopt, and interact in ways that feel more human-like. Okay, here's conclusion. Let's wrap up next generation. Computing represents a major shift in how we design and use computation system. I would say we are moving beyond silicon and exploring new ideas inspired by physics, biology, and intelligence. This technology will redefine how we solve problems and how we interact with machines in the future. And I would say once again, my name is Muhammad Noman Nazir. If you have any question, you can reach out to me on my email or phone number on that slide. And thank you so much for listening my presentation. Again, thank you. Hello everyone, this is Muhammad Noman Nazir. Today I'll be presenting on biocomputing and bioinspired computations. This presentation explores how ideas from nature like DNA, cells, and neural structures can inspire new computation models. These models can help us solve problems that traditional computers struggle with, and they are open the door to entirely new ways of thinking about computations. Okay, let's start with the idea of bio-inspired computations or BIC. This field sits at the intersection of computer science, artificial intelligence, and biology. The core idea is simple: nature has already solved many complex problems, or why not learn from it? Biological systems can organize themselves, adapt to their environment, and continue functioning even when parts fail. Bio-inspired computation tries to capture those abilities in algorithms and computations models. Uh, these systems are especially useful for solving and optimizations problems, modeling nature systems, and redesigning or designing intelligent agents. There are three main characteristics of BIC. First, self-organization, just like ant colonies or neural network. These systems don't need a central controller, partners emerging naturally from local intersections. Second, adaptability. Bio-inspired algorithms learn from experience and adjust to new situations. This makes them very useful in dynamic environment. Third, I would say fraud tolerance. Nature is resilient, organizes severe mutations, injuries, and environmental stresses. Bio-inspired system mimic that resilience, allowing them to continue operating even when parts of the system fail. Together, these characteristics make BIC incredibly powerful for solving real-world problems where conditions are unpredictable. Okay, let's talk about key subfields. Bio-inspired computation is a broad area, so let's break it down into some major subfields. Swarm intelligence studies how simple agents like bird in a flock or insects in a colony can display intelligence behavior when acting um, together. This is used in routing, robotic, and optimization. Okay, let's go to the second one. Remembrance and remembric computing draws from cellular structure and principle to solve complex problems. Let's go to the third one. DNA and molecule um, computing use actual DNA molecules to carry out computations. This area is especially interesting for solving large combinational problems. Next, I would say neural computing is inspired by the structure of the human brain. It powers everything from patterns recognition to deep learning and more modern AI. Each of these subfields offer different strengths depending on the type of problem where we are trying to solve. Um, okay, let's talk about the future advanced and research area. Let's break at the what's happening in current research. One big challenge is how to apply bio-inspired computations to complex real-world problems, especially those that are non-linear, and how many conflicting variables. Uh, Engineers and designers use BIC to optimize structures, energy system, in industrial processes. Another area involves making these um, methods less computing expensive. Even though the algorithms are powerful, they can demand a lot of processing time. We are also seeing growth in data intensive application as big data continue to expand. Bio-inspired method help analyze and filter massive data sets efficiently. In network and system modeling, BIC helps simulate and optimize large scale network like communication systems, biological network, and energy grids. And finally, in biological application, BIC contributes to protein um, flow folding, genetic biomolecular modeling, and other biological simulation. Okay, future direction in bio-inspired computation. Looking ahead, bio-inspired computations has a lot of promising direction. Researchers are focused on making algorithms more scalable and efficient so they can handle incredibly complex problems. As interdisciplinary collaboration grows between biology, physics, and computer science, new hybrid models are emerging. We also expect more breakthrough in computations, intelligence, data analysis, and network modeling. Overall, the future of BIC includes more adaptive, flexible system that can deal with uncertainty and learn about from the environment. I would say these systems will continue to influence next generation AI, robotic engineering, and industrial automations. Okay, now let's go to the DNA computing. DNA computing was first demonstrated in 1994 by um, Lenrod, following early ideas by Richard in 1950. The idea is that DNA molecules can store and process information just like computers do, but at a molecule scale. The advantages are impressive. DNA has extremely high information density, about 1 bit per cubic nanometer. It stores massive parallelism. Trillions of DNA strands can participate in a computing at the same time, and it's energy efficient because biochemical reaction use very little power. DNA computing relies on biochemical operations like synthetic mixing, and I would say such as DNA play major roles, but DNA computing does have limitations. Lab procedures are still complex, and scaling up to larger problem and remains a challenge. Okay, now let's talk about the principle of DNA computing. The principle behind DNA computing revolve around using biochemical reactions instead of electric circuits. DNA sequences are created to represent data. These standards are mixed together, allowed by hybridize, and then filtered or amplified to finding correct solution. Processors like synthetic separation, melting, and detection allow DNA to act as both memory and computations. The journal workflow involves designing unique DNA standards, mixing and reacting them in a test tube, removing invalid standards, and amplifying the standard that represents correct simulation efficiency. We let chemistry do the computation for us. Now, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages. DNA computing pros includes massive parallelism, extremely high information density, and excellent energy efficiency, but there are important downsides as well. DNA manipulation is challenging and requires specialized lab equipment. Scalability is limited for larger complex problems, and the process can be slow compared to electronic computations. Despite these challenges, DNA computing continue to be one of the most innovative field and nature computing. Now I would say computing. Another major area of biological computing is membrane computing. Membrane computing draws inspired from living cells, uses uh, something called P systems. A P system is like a disturbed computing models make up of membranes, uh, compartments, and biochemical style rules. These systems operate in parallel and process multi-sets of objects. The goal is to model or mimic biological processor while solving computations problems. Membrane computing is valuable because it provides a mathematically uh, ways to represent biological processes while also being powerful and enough for computing. And historical growth context, I would say membrane computing was introduced in 1998 by Pound. Since then, it has grown rapidly as a research field. The Institution for Scientific Information recognized membranes computing as an emerging research fund. There is now extensive literature, books, monographs, and research papers that explore variants of P system. This rapid growth is due to the flexibility and the power of membranes computing as a modeling tool. Okay, computing power for P systems. In fact, they are computationally equated to machines, which means they can compute anything that a traditional computing can, at least in theory. P systems are especially efficient at solving computations hard uh, problems because of their natural parallelism. They can operate on large set of data simulation and apply multiple rules at once. This makes them potentially candidates for solving problems that are too slow or inefficient or traditional architecture. Now let's talk about applications of membrane computing. Membrane computing has many interesting applications: modeling biological and medical systems, uh, language processor, I would say understanding and how tissue cell behave, processing languages, computer graphic and simulations, economic and financial modules, and even cryptography. Because membranes computing mimic cell-like structures, it is perfectly suited for problems involving distributed behaviors, growth, information, and rule-based interaction. Okay, and to summarize, biocomputing is an exciting area that bring together biology and computer science to develop a new way of solving complex problems. We explored how bio-inspired computing worked, its uh, characteristic and its major subfields. We looked at DNA computing as a molecule scale computing system. We discussed membranes computing, its historical computational power and wide range of application. Biocomputing continues to grow with the new research, new tools, and new uh, disciplinary collaboration as hardware and laboratory techniques improves. We likely to see even more breakthrough. Um, Thank you for listening my presentation. That's my reference sheet. Those are the articles that I used. And again, thank you so much for watching my presentation or watching my video. And if you have any question or would like to discuss the topic further, feel free to reach out using the contact information on the slide. Thank you again. Bye.